Got my driver's license last week, just like we always talked about. Cause you were so excited for me to finally drive up to your house. But today I drove through the suburbs crying cause you weren't around. And you're probably with that blonde girl who always made me doubt. She's so much older than me. She's everything I'm insecure about. Yet today I drove through the suburbs. Cause how could I ever love someone else? And I know we weren't perfect, but I've never felt this way for no one. And I just can't imagine how you could be so okay now that I'm gone. Guess you didn't mean what you wrote in that song about me. 'Cause you said forever, now I drive alone past your street. And all my friends are tired of hearing how much I miss you, but I kinda feel sorry for them, cause they'll never know you the way that I do. Yet today I drove through the suburbs and pictured I was driving home to you. And I know we weren't perfect, but I've never felt this way for no one. Oh, and I just can't imagine how you could be so okay now that I'm gone. I guess you didn't mean what you wrote in that song about me. 'Cause you said forever, now I drive alone past your street. Red lights, stop signs, I still see your face in the white cars, front lines. Can't drive past the places we used to go to, 'cause I still fucking love you, babe. Sidewalks we cross, I still hear your voice in the traffic. We're laughing over all the noise. God, I'm so blue, no we're through, but I still fucking love you, babe.
Hi everyone that is already here. So the event will be starting soon. So kindly turn on your cameras once the event starts. And also please change your name format like the one on the screen right now. and use the Zoom background that we have provided in our emails. All right, thank you.
Mean what you wrote in that song about me. 'Cause you said forever, now I drive alone past your street. Yeah, you said forever, now I drive alone past your street. Balloons are deflated. Guess they look lifeless like me. We miss you on your side of the bed. Still got your things here. They stare at me like souvenirs. Don't wanna let you out my head. Just like the day that I met you, the day I thought forever. Said that you love me, but that'll last forever. It's cold outside, like when you walked out my life. Why you walk out my life? I get like this every time. On these days that feel like you and me. Heartbreak anniversary. 'Cause I remember every time. On these days that feel like you and me. Heartbreak anniversary. Do you ever think of me? No, 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 no. Ooh, nah. I'm building my hopes up, like presents unopened till this day. I still see the messages you read. I'm foolishly patient. Can't get past the taste of your lips. Don't wanna let you out my head. Just like the day that I met you, the day I thought forever. Said that you love me, but that'll last forever. It's cold outside, like when you walked out my life. Why you walk out my life? I get like this every time. On these days that feel like you and me. Heartbreak anniversary. 'Cause I remember every time. On these days that feel like you and me. Heartbreak anniversary. Do you ever think of me? Oh, me. 'Cause I think of you, think of you. I still remember 3rd of December, me in your sweater. You said it looked better on me than it did you. Only if you knew how much I liked you. But I watch your eyes as she walks by. What a sight for sore eyes, brighter than the blue sky. She's got you mesmerized while I die. Why would you ever give she stands with her holding your hand. Put your arm around her shoulder. Now I'm getting colder, but how could I hate her? She's such an angel, but then again, kinda wish she were dead as she walks by. What a sight for sore eyes, brighter than a blue sky. She's got you mesmerized while I die. Why would you ever kiss me? I'm not even half as pretty. You gave her your sweater. It's just polyester, but you like her better. I wish I wish I wish I were Heather. Why would you ever kiss me? I'm not even half as pretty. You gave her your sweater. It's just polyester, but you like her better. Wish I were. And no one to stick around. One strike and you're out, baby. Don't care if I sound crazy, but you never let me down. No, no, that's why when the sun's up, I'm staying. Still laying in your bed saying, ooh, 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 ooh. Got all this time on our hands. Might as well cancel our plans. Yeah. I could stay here for a lifetime. So lock the door and throw the key. Can't fight this no more. It's just you and me, and there's nothing I can do. I'm stuck with you, stuck with you, stuck with you. So go ahead and drive me insane, baby. Run your mouth. I still wouldn't change being stuck with you, stuck with you, stuck with you. I'm stuck with you, stuck with you, stuck with you, baby. It's nowhere we need to be. No, no, no. I'ma get to know you better. Kinda hope we're here forever. There's nobody on these streets. If you told me that the world's ending, ain't no other way that I can spend it. Oh, 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 oh. Got all this time in my hands. Might as well cancel our plans. I could stay here forever. So lock the door and throw out the key. Can't fight this no more. It's just you and me, and there's nothing I can do. I'm stuck with you, stuck with you, stuck with you. So go ahead and drive me insane, baby. Run your mouth. I still wouldn't trade being stuck with you, stuck with you, stuck with you. I'm stuck with you, stuck with you, stuck with you. Baby, come to
Hi, everyone. To those who just came in, we will start in 6 minutes. But do kindly turn on your cameras once the event starts, and also change your name format like the one on the screen right now. And also do use the Zoom background that we have provided in our reminder emails. Again, we will start in 5 minutes. So for now, just enjoy our music. Thank you.
get what you want, but not what you need. When you feel so tired, but you can't sleep. Stuck in rivers, and the tears come streaming down your face. When you lose something you can't replace. When you love someone but it goes to waste. Could it be worse? Lights will guide you home and ignite your bones, and I will try to fix you. And high up above or down below, when you're too in love to let it go. But if you never try, you'll never know just what you want. Lights will guide you home and ignite your bones, and I will try to fix you.
All right, so this is my last reminder. I promise I wouldn't repeat again. Dear participants, the event will be starting very, very, very soon. Kindly open your camera once the event starts. And also before we start, please change your name format like the one on the screen and use the Zoom background that we have provided in our reminder emails. We will start in 1 minute. Okay, hi everyone. Welcome, welcome. Welcome to Malaysian Students Global Alliances Global Leadership Camp 2021. My name is Arisha and I will be your main MC for today. So first, we are going to take note of these online etiquettes, which is first to open your cameras at all time. Keep your microphone on mute when you are not speaking, and engage with the speakers and moderators by using the Slido link that will be given for the Q&A session. So we are going to kickstart our Global Leadership Camp with an icebreaking session between all of our participants as a warm-up. So this game is called 3 Words, 1 Story. So for each story starter, I will call out 10 names to help me create a story. So each participant will contribute 3 words. and you will take turns to contribute. So this game is going to go really fast. So just make sure to type in the chat box the first 3 words that come up on your mind. So when the story ends, we might have a story that we all can have a laugh at. So we're gonna be testing your improv skills, okay? All right, for the first group, we will start the story with the date was 13th July, my 345th birthday. It will be my last. Okay, I am gonna call out our very own facilitator, Fatin. Could you please input in your first 3 words to continue my first sentence?
All right, sure, Arisha.
Go ahead and type it out, okay?
Okay.
All right, let's see Fatin improv skills. Okay, day of meeting. Next, I will be calling G group 3 Farhana. Could you please help me and also help Fatin continue the story? So Fatin's sentence was day of meeting. Go ahead and contribute 3 words. Okay. Okay, next, group 2, Sophia. I'm sorry, Sophia. I see you laughing. Go ahead and contribute 3 words to that story. All right, this feels surreal. I'm gonna choose next group 1, Ikmal Azmi. Go ahead, Ikmal. Contribute 3 words to that story. Wow, period. It was a. All right, next one. Actually, I'm gonna call out one of our winners, Global Excellence Award winners, Lee Jung-shin. Could you help us contribute to 3 words in the story? Great, thank you. Next will be one of our director of GLC herself, Ima. Go ahead and input your 3 words. On a Sunday, great. Next, group 14, Amira. Can you help me, please? She's laughing by herself. We were hungry. Okay. All right. Next one is group 10, Wenli. Wenli, can you help me please? Contribute 3 words. The first 3 words that comes out on your mind. Great. Okay, 2 more people. I'm gonna call group 11, Kuraisha. Our last meal, great. Lastly, I am going to call group 10, Irene P. Our last person, go ahead. Meal to eat, okay. All right, so we've done 10 people. I'm gonna read out all the story for you, okay? The date was 13th July, my 345th birthday. It will be my last day of meeting with my colleagues. This feels surreal. It was a really exciting though. On a Sunday, we were hungry, so we ordered our last meal to eat. Thank you, guys. I don't know what to make out of that story, but thank you so much. Okay, we're gonna proceed to our second group. Okay, uh, the story starter will be, "Am I in heaven? What happened to me?" Okay, I'm gonna start with again one of our fasties, Jay. Jay, can you help me contribute 3 stories to my story starter? Exactly, I think. Exactly. We love the cliffhanger. Go ahead, Jay. All right. And then group 5, Dan. Can you help me then? Thank you. In a days. All right. Okay, group 13, Arun. Can you help me, Arun? Just utter the first 3 words. It comes up in your mind. On a bed. All right, next will be group 12, Ezrin. Ezrin, go ahead and give your 3 words. Wow, he went the gore side. Great. Now the story is gory. I do want the flow to be continued by group 4, Brandilia. I hope I'm saying your name right. Go ahead, Brandilia. Must be hell. Okay, next one will be group 10, Nasrul. Nasrul, go ahead. I'm so scared. Okay, next one, group 5, Harls. Yeah, Harls, can you contribute 3 words to that story, please? Yet so excited. Okay, next, group 6, Reshna, our MSGA member, right? You go, girl, let's go. About the outcome, great. Last person will be, let me see. Group 1, let Daniel, go ahead. So I ate. This will be another cliffhanger, okay? All right, I'm gonna start the story. Am I in heaven? What happened to me? I woke up in a daze on a bed. Blood spills everywhere. Must be hell. I'm so scared, yet so excited about the outcome. So I ate. Done. The story's done. Thank you, Daniel, for that story ending. Right. Okay, we're gonna do our last one, okay? Our last starter. Okay. I may, exactly, Chris. I may have accidentally adopted 5 cats. Okay, I'm gonna ask MSGA_Sharifah to help me. Hi, Sharifah. I think she accidentally sent it in the waiting room, but she did say they're all cute like Arisha. Okay, I'll accept that 5 words because it's about me. That's okay. Next one, I will want to ask, again, one of our fasties, Azwan, go ahead, continue that word. Smooth like butter. Got a BTS fan right here. Third person, I would want to call group 2, Eileen. Go ahead, Eileen. Yet so noisy. Okay, next person, group 2 again, Brian Ng. Oh, Brian, smiling, Brian. Please give us a good 3 words, but sweet like. Okay. All right, next person will be group 9, Jinyi. They love that. Okay. All right, next person will be group 10. I can't see the full name. One Fawaz, right? Great. Go ahead, Fawaz. Is this happening? All right, then group 12, Naziha, go ahead. For my fate. All right. 3 more people. I will choose group 4, Jaspreet. I can see her saying, oh my God, I think she hates me now. Let's get dancing. Okay, again, I'm gonna choose one of our fasties. Mr. Chris, go ahead and input your first 3 words. Have a meal. Okay, our last person I would want to choose. It's very lucky person, group 4, Divya. Go ahead, Divya. I hope you can hear me. Mother called me. Great. Okay, I'm gonna start the story, okay? Let me scroll up a little. Okay. I may have accidentally adopted 5 cats. They're all cute like Arisha, smooth like butter, yet so noisy, but sweet like. They love that. Is this heaven or my fate? Let's get dancing, have a meal, and mother called me. So I'm guessing should have ended with have a Kit Kat. I'm gonna end it like that then. Mother called me and she said have a Kit Kat. All right, thank you guys so much for everybody that participated in our ice breaking session. Okay, before we proceed, to the next agenda. The tentatives of the event is as follows. So right after this, we will have forum session 1, moderated by Ms. Tehmina Kaoosji, with 3 incredible speakers to discuss on the topic of inclusivity in technology. The structure of the forum session is 40 minutes of sharing by panelists and 15 minutes of Q&A by participants using the Slido links. So at 11:30 a.m., we will start our second session, which is workshop 1, where there will be 3 breakout rooms with each speaker in it, with 1 moderator from MSGA in each room to discuss on the potential transformation to challenging environmental social issues. After the workshop, we will have our lunch break. Then we will continue back at 1 p.m. for forum session 2. So the structure will be the same. The moderator and the panelists will discuss on the topic of diversity, the key to unlocking sustainable leadership. Next is the workshop session 2, where we will have our speakers deliver a session on inclusivity in leadership. So the last tentative for today is the mentor-mentee session 1, where we will have all of our participants be in 14 breakout rooms, and all of you will be allocated 30 minutes each to get feedback from your respective mentors. All right, without further ado, for forum session on inclusivity in technology, please welcome Mr. Fong Tuan Chen from Samsung. Okay, great. Give me 1 second. Wait, I'm gonna ask our host first. Is our speakers ready before that?
They are having a briefing session, so I think we can give some space to participants.
We can chill.
Yes.
Okay, wait. I do want to ask. Okay, since we have to chill, I want to see if our participants. Do you guys would like to do one more story starter, or you guys would like me to stop?
Yes, please.
Oh, great. Sampai tanya. I'm sorry. Who's the one who answered me?
Sharifa.
Oh, Sharifa. Okay. I'm gonna pretend Sharifa represents everybody. Okay. All right. I'm gonna input the story starter in the chat box. I'm gonna say. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna first use what Fatin just recommended. Okay. And that was the last day I saw. I'm guessing this is going to be a thriller. So let's start our thriller story. Okay, I'm gonna let me choose. You know what? Group 8, Maliha. Can you help me, Maliha? Thank you, Maliha. And that was the last day I saw what? I'm gonna repaste the story. Sorry. The ring on. Okay. Next one. I'm sorry. I'm gonna say it right now. If I accidentally call your name twice, my bad. Oh, it's Haris. Sorry, group 5 Haris. I thought it was Harles. My bad. Okay, so it's not you, Haris. Sorry. Okay, can group 4, Jet Xiao, can you help me add to Maliha's sentence, the ring on? Wow, my future soulmate. So romantic, Jet Xiao. Okay, I'm gonna choose Yanru, group 1 Yanru. Can you help us create this romantic story? Then I heard, okay. Next one will be group 6, Yvonne. Yvonne, can you help me? Is Jibon here? I don't think she's here. Okay. Then I'm gonna choose group 7. Say. Loud scream. See, I knew you guys were gonna turn this into a horror story. Okay, let's do group 3. Farhan. Go ahead, Farhan. Wakes me up. Okay. Again, I cannot see your name fully, but I do want to call group 8 Noor. All I can see is Noor Sor. I hope, let me see your name. Is your name right? I think it's Noor Sorfina. Yeah, I think it is. Okay. Okay, it's stealing my breakfast. Okay. All right, next one is group 2, Achilles. I feel hungry. Next, I'm not sure what group you are, but Nur Hidayatul, can you help me? Just contribute 3 words to that story, please. Okay. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, I'm gonna choose 2 more people, okay? Group 7. Sangeeta, can you help me, Sangeeta? Then I hear, all right. Okay, last but not least, group 9, Sarah Azmina. Can you help me, Sarah? Cat meow. Okay, I will start our story again. Okay, let me scroll up. Okay. And that was the last day I saw the ring on my future soulmate. Then I heard a loud scream, wakes me up, stealing my breakfast. I feel hungry. Hello, anybody there? Then I hear a cat meow. Okay, I really thought you guys would take it into a gore like theme, but thank you so much for making it happy. Thank you, everyone. So I'm guessing we have a very happy crowd this morning. Okay. And I haven't received the alert yet, so I'm gonna ask everybody. Okay, yes, go ahead, Sharifa.
Oh, sorry. Flowers, is up to you. Continue.
Great. Okay, we can introduce our speakers now. Oh no, it's still me.
I want to introduce myself and the team behind all the GLC planning. I want to honor them because we did, I think we did an amazing job in terms of securing a lot of good speakers for you guys. And yeah, I want to, introduce the team. So we have Arisha as the Assistant Vice President of Flagship Department. I'm also the AVPs, one of the AVPs. We have Ima, the Event Director, Yongza, our Senior Vice President, Kida, our AVP, and Chris, our associates, and our facilitators. I just want to thank them before we start. And thank you everyone for coming here. So yeah, hope you guys have a fun time and enjoy the 2 days camp. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Sharifa.
Thank you, Miss Yeezy. All right. Okay, we're gonna give 1 more minute to our speakers. I know you guys are excited, and we apologize for that. But please keep your excitement up, keep your spirit up. Our speakers are really, really amazing. And so is our moderator, apparently. Very gorgeous person. Right. Okay, so again, I'm just gonna go through the tentative again. So far, okay, no, I'm gonna talk about the mentor-mentee session 1. So for those that are confused, so group with the odd number first, like 1, 3, 5, 7 is going to have the first 30 minutes. And then the latter 30 minutes is gonna be groups with odd, even numbers. So 2, 4, 6, 8, and so on. So while you're waiting for the even number groups, you can just discuss with your groups. You guys are good to go. All right, I'm going to start without further ado for forum session 1 on inclusivity and technology. Please welcome Mr. Fong Tuan Chen from Samsung, Mr. Michael Teo from Thriving Talents, and Mr. Aaron Tang from Luno, Malaysia. I will now hand you over to our moderator, an independent broadcast journalist and gender activist, Ms. Tehmina Kaoosji. Take it away, Ms. Tehmina. Why am I on spotlight? Yeah, we're so sorry for these buffers. Okay, I'm seeing our participants are talking about chocolate. Thank you, Zen Chong. So this is a commercial right now. Just imagine we're in a commercial, okay? Okay, apparently, okay, we're gonna play the music until the speakers come. Okay, should be 1 or 2 minutes more. So again, we apologize for that. But cue, DJ Sharifa.
Anyone got any requests? I'm just gonna play. Get it on. Some old-time classic from my side.
After some time, I finally made up my mind. She is the girl, and I really want to make her mine.
Sharifa, people suggested MLK, Abba, MLK and Abba.
Abba, my favorite. Wait for lunch break.
Oh, MLK.
Let's go.
Okay, so Sharifa promised to play Abba during lunch break. Okay, please remember that, everyone.
Things I've done, I find her standing in front of
The lockdown is different vibe, bro.
the only place in town where I didn't work.
Okay, is our moderator here? Perfect. Again, I will introduce our speakers for forum session on inclusivity in technology. Please welcome Mr. Fong Tuan Chen from Samsung, Mr. Michael Teo from Driving Talents, and Mr. Aaron Tang from Luno, Malaysia. Again, I will now hand you over to our moderator and independent broadcast journalist and gender activist, Ms. Tehmina Kaoosji. Take it away, Ms. Tehmina.
Thank you so much, Arisha. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for being with us for Forum Session 1 of MSGA Global Leadership Camp 2021. So this session is all about inclusivity in technology, and this is definitely something all of us can relate to, right? Evolutions in tech have had a tremendous impact on our lives, both at work and at home. So what's equally important, though a little less visible day to day, is how the tech industry is changing behind the scenes. And that includes in the area of diversity and inclusion. So diversity in tech goes far beyond gender. We'll be touching on areas of improvement as we look towards the future. And inclusivity is just as important as workforce diversity in technology. So in this forum, guys and girls, we'll be diving into the ways current and future leaders can foster human connections to drive diversity and inclusivity in the tech industry. And we will be speaking to our brilliant stellar lineup of panelists all together. And then there will be a 15-minute or so Q&A session towards the end. A couple of housekeeping notes before we proceed for our attendees. The chat box has a Slido link that will be put in for all your questions for our panelists. So please be sure to keep those coming. And at the same time, just a reminder to keep all chat box discussions respectful and on topic. So without further ado, let me introduce our panel of speakers. And let me just preface that with, though we were unable to secure female speakers due to conflicts of schedule, we trust that the speakers joining us will offer great diversity of thought and practice in each of their respective fields. Firstly, we have joining us Mr. Fong Tuan Chen, HR and General Affairs Director with Samsung, or FT. Hi, FT, welcome to the panel.
Hi, everyone.
Right. So FT also heads human resources for Samsung, one of the largest and most valuable global brands. He's qualified as a professional engineer. He also holds a first-class honors in electrical and electronical engineering, and MBA in organizational behavior, as well as a CFA. Now, FT's brand of HR is data-centered yet intuitive, quantitative yet insight-driven. He began his career with Tenaga Nasional, Malaysia's power utility company, where he was a scholar, subsequently leading and holding senior HR leadership roles for global MNCs, as well as blue chip corporations like Coca-Cola, OCBC, Watson Wyatt, British American Tobacco, Maybank Group, and B. Brown Asia Pacific. So FT has also been recognized with multiple accolades, including HR Excellence Awards Grand Winner, HR Asia Best Company to Work For, and the Asia Recruitment Awards. So FT is also joined by Michael Teo Sulim, founder of Thriving Talents. Hello, Michael. How are you?
Doing good. Thank you so much, Tehmina. And hello, everyone. Good morning.
All right. I'm going to take another deep breath as I read out Michael's roll call. Now, during the COVID-19 outbreak, when most corporate trainings were stopped, Michael led his company to pivot. Thriving Talents actually pivoted from the usual corporate consulting, team building, and employee training practices to work with SMEs on helping their sales teams to market and sell better, and also in boosting the performance of work from home staff, something that is truly relevant to the entire scenario that is happening today. He's also been featured as a KOL by various newspapers like Star, SME Magazine, and more on topics related to sales performance, people productivity, and business sustainability during the pandemic. He's also been listed as the #1 entry for the top 100 people you should follow on LinkedIn in Malaysia for 2020 by Marketing in Asia magazine. So if LinkedIn is your jam, you know who to add right now. And Michael's also been recognized as Malaysia's Young Entrepreneur of the Year for companies valued up to 25 million ringgit in 2020. Now, our Inclusivity in Tech panel is rounded off by Aaron Tang, Country Manager for Luno. Hey, Aaron, welcome to the panel.
Hi, Tehmina. Thanks for having me, and good morning, everyone.
Now, in its current role, Aaron is responsible for growing the cryptocurrency ecosystem, plus raising awareness and education about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in Malaysia. In his previous roles, he spent 9 years in the oil and gas industry, working at the national oil company Petronas and the multinational oil service firm Weatherford. Right, gentlemen, so now that we have all of you with us, everyone's been properly introduced. So tell me a little bit about how the entire work from home routine has been. I'd like to start, of course, with FD. From a Samsung perspective, it's been coming on to almost more than a year and a half. How are things going?
Well, I think I've been watching Euro, 2020, and see the big difference, right? They are not working from home. They are not even watching, football from home. They are watching football in the stadium. They have 60,000 people, probably 75,000 tomorrow when, England, takes on Italy. I think that is the difference between the, different economies, right? And we had a 9,180 yesterday, and record number of people in the ICU. I think this is a new normal that we it's cliched, but it's something that we need to live with. From a organization perspective, all of us are looking at, can we go back to the stadium full of people, everyone back in the office? I don't think that would happen. It's already pivoted towards irreversible way of working. It's definitely going to be some combination of hybrid, working from home and working in the office, working from anywhere. Offices, real estate, for example, will change. The way we operate with each other will change, has already changed. Processes, systems, all have to be optimized to accommodate to this hybrid way of working. From a Samsung perspective, we are a bit fortunate because obviously we are in the tech space. Prior to this, everything was already mobile ready, already on the platform. But what I can say is, now even for us, it was still a struggle. It was still a challenge trying to accelerate into this new mode. If you can remember, about a year and a half ago, in March last year, about a year and 3 months, 4 months ago, when we had to move into a lockdown, the first MCO, right? MCO 1.0. We had 2 days, 48 hours. It was announced on Sunday, and everything needs to be, home and locked down on Tuesday. And I have lots of colleagues who really struggle. 3 ways. Number one, they don't have the right infrastructure to do that. Number two, they don't have the skill or the capability to do that. And worst of all, their customers and their products were not ready to do that as well. So, if all these three is like a perfect storm, and this spiral, unfortunately, is some of them have not been able to recover from the spiral from a year and a half ago. So we were a bit fortunate. Work from home is, when we wanted to move to work from home about a year and a half ago, nobody wants to work from home. I need to be back in office. Now that we are probably going to re-enter the office soon, probably in September or end of the year, you probably have to drag them. They say, I don't want to go back to work anymore. I don't want to go back to office. So that's what I mean by inertia, right? So human beings are very inertial beings. When they are used to doing something, you want to try to ask them to do something else. I don't think it's a work from home or work from whatever. It's just getting used to doing something different, I guess. So yeah.
Yeah, FT, I love the fact that you started with, speaking about something that captured the attention of hundreds of millions around the world, especially Malaysian football fans, all the way to how it's still been difficult a year and a half along working from home, even if you are in the tech space. And I think that brings up a really important question. And I know Michael's also itching to cue in. But Michael, you work specifically and have been over the pandemic with SMEs. Now, SMEs not only form the core, the backbone of the Malaysian economy, but at the same time, a lot of them are not very digitized despite operating in the digital space. So how have you been able to bring what Thriving Talents does best, which is train people and, sort of bring them on board to this new normal, whether or not it is something which is going to be better than what we had before? It is definitely the lived reality for all of us currently, right?
Thank you so much, Tehmina, and a good day to all my friends tuning in right now. So from my company, Thriving Talents, we have been very fortunate where before the pandemic, we have just been so blessed where we've even worked with FT himself in his previous tenure in some of the large companies. He's always been in large companies, a very capable leader in the HR industry, I must say. So we have had the opportunities to work with FT in the past and also to learn from all these great leaders, from all these major organizations, these Fortune 500 companies spread across 41 countries that I've had the chance to work with. And we learn how all these big organizations do it. How do they introduce a new culture? How do they inculcate a new habit among their employees to follow through? And then when the pandemic hit, we realized that we could still continue serving the big Fortune 500s, which we still do until today, God bless. But we saw there was a need to also serve the SMEs. And one day I woke up together with my team, and this was last year when the MCO was first declared. And I said, we have been very blessed to work with all these big companies. Why not we take what they have been doing right and introduce it to the SMEs? Now, your question, Tehmina, was how did I actually introduce digitalization and how do I get them hooked, them being the SMEs? Because you tend to see a lot of the SMEs in Malaysia, they tend to be founder-led. That means the founder is still the CEO. From our experience, they tend to be more cost conscious as well. They always say that they do not have the magnitude of large companies like Samsung, Masing, or Maybank to actually implement the digitalization strategy. They're still very manual. But what we tend to do with them is that we bring success stories of all these large companies. We break it down to sizable chunks to be introduced as a learning journey right now. We no longer go to clients and say, hey, we're going to do a training for you. We go to them and said, we have a learning journey for you. And the learning journey begins with a pre-calibration, talking to the founders, to the CEOs of the SMEs. You need to get into their heads and you need to get the buy-in of their hearts first to believe that digitalization and technology is important, that it is the way forward, that their employees will adapt to it, will develop new habits around it. So you got to get their buy-in. And oftentimes this begins with a pre-calibration process, a lot of interviews, a lot of chit chat with all the key decision makers. Then we move on to the employees. Now, as we move on to the employees, they're all working from home. They're all pretty tense. They're all pretty stressed out. When we introduce any digitalization training or learning intervention to SMEs, we normally get a lot of resistance. Tehmina, we get resistance where employees would say, am I being replaced? After I attend your program, after I finish your program, I have no more job, right? So we have to actually instill that feeling of assurance to them, to show them the roadmap of what we have worked with their management in the SME to ensure that these digitalization, these automation is not here to take away your job, but it's here to make sure that you still have a job despite working from home, despite living in this pandemic. So we run the learning intervention. And from there, it's very important that we start identifying role models. These are role models. These are employees that are more receptive. Now, this is where I'm going to make a very biased statement here, okay, Tehmina? And please forgive me to all my panelists, all right? But I think all the student leaders gathered here want a frank confession from me. This is where we see, in a lot of cases, the younger generation of employees, their new hires, tend to be more receptive towards technology. I'm not saying that the senior, older generations are not. It's just that it's a mental block. So if it's a mental block, we need to work with the senior generations to share with them that, hey, it's okay, technology is not here to harm you. But then we equip the younger generation, the millennials, if I may say, people like you and I, all of us watching here, we equip you all with the ability to role model, to become a role model, to guide, to grow together with your other senior colleagues in adapting the technology. And right after the role model has been identified, these are like cheerleaders in organization. Lastly, we have to turn it into a culture, and culture comes from habit. Habit comes from repetition. Hey, for those of you who are watching this right now, if you said, Michael, you have worked with Fortune 500s, you have worked with SMEs, how do I get employed by them, right? And if you're interested with that question, yeah, raise up your hand, yeah, so I can see you guys, okay? Hey, for those of you who are interested with that question, I can tell you this, all right? Form a habit of excellence. Always sharpen the saw, always be learning, always be resourceful, always be thinking creatively. Don't just go to your boss asking for solution, present solutions to your boss, even though they may not be right, but your boss will appreciate you because you did, right? So what happened is once you develop that repetition, that becomes a habit, that will ultimately become a culture. So we guide all these SMEs to actually arrange sessions with their employees, with their bosses, with their colleagues, to give them information, to give them updates, to reinforce these new behaviors that we are forging with them. So in a nutshell, Tehmina, I've just explained to you how we do it, how we at least try. We work with the SMEs to usher in a more digitally favorable working environment for their teams during this climate.
Thanks for that, Michael. I love the fact that you were able to frame it really succinctly as this bite-sized learning journeys rather than something that has to be done, very theoretically, very systematically, because that is probably what gets a lot of resistance, particularly from employees who may never have been used to working from home, particularly in the SME sector. From there, Aaron, I want to go into the work that you do with Luno Malaysia. Now, of course, working in the crypto, Bitcoin side of things, that is definitely a much more digitized arena. But how has the COVID pandemic's work from home new normal actually impacted, or perhaps even given you an edge over others in the similar industry, but not in crypto? Let's say over just banking overall.
Yeah, I would say we have been blessed. Echoing on to what FT said earlier, we are a technology business, and it was quite coincidental because we are a global business where we have offices in more than 7 countries worldwide. So when the announcement to lock down MCO, which was in March 2020, came out, we had already started we called it a trial lockdown. So what globally we decided to do is we were going to test out everyone working from home over the next 2 weeks. So we had already started a couple of days before the Malaysian government came out. So in that sense, we were fortunate because we almost had a week of practice before that. And our business, as it is a completely digital business, completely online business. So everyone was actually sort of ready to work from home. It's just that we had never tested it out large scale before. And 1 year on, 1.5 years on, we can say that the experiment went well, surprisingly well, actually. People adapted, people are able to do it. However, I can also say on the other side, there is actually a real human cost to actually going online and not having that FaceTime with people. I mean, technology can help. Technology can absolutely allow you to have those Zoom calls, and also the Zoom fatigue, by the way. Technology can help you have random coffee chats with your colleagues. But what we've discovered, what we've realized is that, just having this kind of simple kind of interactions is often not enough, because you are starting to lack the face-to-face interaction with your manager. You're lacking the face-to-face interaction with your team. So we've actually had to work really hard, and our global people team has done many initiatives. For example, more flexible working arrangements for parents, because the single people among us, they think that work from home is an absolute amazing thing, right? But then you have parents who have kids running around the house. So what kind of additional things can you do for parents? And then we also have people who actually live in places where the internet connection is not good. So what can you actually do to help this kind of people? That may come in the terms of, say, subsidies to help them get better prepaid cards and things like that. So we've actually discovered a whole new area of challenges, even though the work from home experiment has been going well. And I think we will need to continue to adapt and grow. But I will say one thing is that when things reopen, I also do look forward to actually going back and having that FaceTime with colleagues, because it is very important.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that coffee talk around the cooler, I think nothing can beat that, right? Something that was so mundane, but I think that a lot of us who are especially used to the corporate atmosphere really, really crave at the end of the day. FT, going back to you now. Now, speaking about HR in particular, how has the HR industry transformed over the past 10 to 15 years? And what do you foresee, having been such an industry expert, that the past 1-2 years is going to do to the future of HR in the next decade to come?
Hey, well, I'm not sure how many people who are listening in wants to choose HR as a career. I wouldn't imagine many. That is the first problem. People do not choose HR as a career because HR is a accidental career for many. Even for me, yeah, I am a trained engineer, so I'm a professional engineer. I am an accidental HR. The first 7-8 years of my life, I was practicing engineering. Then I, discovered that I actually am more passionate about people, and it is a lot more interesting and insightful to, tweak and understand people rather than tweaking machines. So I stayed, but not many people would be like me. I wouldn't imagine. That is one of the greatest problems 15, 20 years ago. Even now, that remains a challenge. Talent, the pool of talent that goes into HR is pretty shallow. I'm not sure whether Michael agrees with me, but he deals with many HR people. I'm sure all of them are the clients, so he wouldn't be as candid as me saying that, yeah, I think the state of HR in Malaysia, it's pretty, not up to speed, not up to standard, at least not in my book, right? So that's one of it. So if any of you here is thinking like, I want HR to be a career, it's not too bad because the base is low. Therefore, when you get in, you have a little bit of talent. It's certainly a lot less competitive than in finance or in marketing or in tech, for example, where it's hyper competitive. But in HR, not so. So if you are, have a good, head above your shoulders, have, pretty good temperament, and have a little bit of talent, you will be successful. So that's one of it. I think that is a rather than me telling you, a very theoretical view of HR, I think that's a practical way for me to just put it out there. That's one. Secondly, prior to COVID, I've always been of the opinion that HR will cease to exist in the next 10 years. I think there won't be any HR left because all that HR was strong were all easily replaced by machines, by bots. What is HR strong in? Operations, policies, compliance, ensuring that we are able to answer questions from people, etc., which bots can do really quite well. But this 1.5 years kind of slowed down this trend. And I don't think that we can be replaced so quickly because suddenly HR is thrust into the limelight because HR suddenly becomes the chief risk officer. HR suddenly becomes the chief well-being officer. HR becomes the chief strategy officer because there's no business to talk about. So the entire thing is about, how do you manage people and their well-being and their livelihoods so that we can continue doing business. HR becomes a chief product officer because there's no product to be put out there unless you are, fully digital, like Aaron was saying. But not all the organizations are as fortunate as it's crypto and it's everything is digital. So then I began to think that, yeah, perhaps we are not so easily replaced. Even the things that we are supposed to be good at. Because I think the value of HR is actually not just policing the policies, not just executing compliance, not just managing talent, not just hiring, firing, paying, whatever, but it's also to be the conscience of the CEO, to be the the brake before they accelerate into oblivion because they want to do so many different things. And we hold the accountability and the responsibility to act in the best interest of our people, in the best interest of the business, in the best interest of our customers. And this is not the CFO suddenly have nothing much to do because the only thing that he is doing is just cutting costs. The chief strategy officer, suddenly there's no strategy because everything can't be done because we are locked down in different alphabets every 2 weeks. You have a different alphabet at the front, but technically you can't do much. So I think there is a lot of legs still in this space. It is how we augment what our core competencies are with what needs to be done, which is making really unpopular decisions sometimes, but making the right one for the business. So I guess that's what has been moving. And I think, to be honest, call me, you can call me macabre or whatever, but I think this COVID-19 is not only a silver lining. I think it has accelerated and catalyzed a lot of things that we thought of doing, but now we have no choice but have to do it. And I think the HR fraternity has the pandemic to thank. This whole acceleration of culture, changing of culture, transformation, which probably wouldn't happen within this such short space of time if this did not happen.
Absolutely. I've got to agree with you, FT. I am personally quite a rather macabre person, but I must say that the advantages on the digitalization side of things which happened in 2 months, which would never have happened in 3-5 years because there was just no choice. And I love the way you phrase how HR is the conscience of the CEO. And more than just the department, it literally does sound like you are an 8-armed octopus at the moment. And speaking of 8 arms, it's also, I think, about maintaining that sort of balance to ensure that the core of the company still sort of hums along as best as it can, despite everything that is going on in not just the business world, but even the client world, as well as, of course, sales. I mean, there's so much. And in a sense, right now, HR forms the foundation of how well or how poorly each one of these sectors is doing. Lots to digest over there. But from there, Michael, I'll go into you. And Michael, I really want to talk to you about the fact that when it comes down to young Malaysians, let's talk soft skills, because this is what will be essential for standing out in an increasingly digitalized world, regardless of which sector you intend to go into after you graduate. Your thoughts on this?
Very true. So when we talk about soft skills, normally people tend to think it's the skills to lead, the skills to communicate. And I have been in 2 shoes. Number one, as what FT has mentioned, I work with many organizations that hire many talents. And our company, Thriving Talents, as of last year, we found our niche. Our niche was to help these organizations to develop high potential young leaders that could be part of their succession planning pool. So because of that, it gave me a window to really understand these young people who were new hires. The employers saw something in them, and then we would be with them for at least 1 year to 2 years, really seeing how they have grown, really see how they move from different departments and how they become extremely resilient. So having said that, from the first perspective point of view, I realized that a lot of employers, for sure, they want someone who could articulate well, they want someone who could think. But I think one of the more important skills right now, if you talk about soft skills, Tehmina, would be 2. Number one, the ability to be resourceful. And when we talk about the ability to be resourceful, it means your willingness to adapt, your willingness to tell yourself that, I'm speaking to all of you, my dear friends, watching this right now, okay? Your willingness to not just surrender to a problem. When a challenge hits you, you're just thinking, okay, even with my limited resources, even with my limited experience, I'm just starting out, I'm just a fresh graduate, what can I do? Is there a place I can Google that could get me some answers that I could propose to my employers, to my boss, to my supervisor? I find that employers these days, they want to hire thinking graduates rather than just graduates. Remember this one quote, and I'll always remember this because it was told to me when I had my first job right after graduation from New Zealand. So my first boss told me, and God bless him, he has passed on, but I still remember his lesson until today. He said, Michael, when I hire you into my company, if I'm paying you 5,000 ringgit per month, and I'm fine paying that, you need to be prepared to think every single day, how could you generate at least 3 times that amount for me? Now, I know some of you must be thinking, but Michael, I'm not in sales, I'm not in marketing, I'm not in business development. How do I do that? Well, generate in terms of value. So if I'm earning 5,000 ringgit a month, would I be able to generate 15,000 ringgit back in value for my employers? If I'm working in a non-sales role where I'm just not measured based on the revenue I bring into company, I would tend to reflect, is my presence here in the company making life better, making life simpler, making processes more efficient for my employer? If your answer is yes, awesome. You would have a chance to stay. If your answer is no, then you're a waste of space, my dear friends. So that is what I would say from the first perspective. The second perspective is for Thriving Talents, and FT knows this because we have been friends on LinkedIn, on WhatsApp for years now. He's literally seen me grow. So Thriving Talents, we started off with me, and then I have a few partners, and today we have grown to a company where we have invested even in 3 other companies as well. So by saying that, I hire a lot of interns, I hire a lot of young people. In fact, FT would remember that when Thriving Talents first started, we were very much known as one of the younger talent development companies around, where all the founders were like in their 20s, right? But now I'm already in my mid-30s, so time flies. Having said that though, because I myself have been an employer, I know what I want. And you could talk about digitalization. You could talk about, I want to hire graduates that have the digital mindset. But what is the digital mindset? It's just a huge buzzword that's being thrown around by people to sell programs online. You know, quoting Dr. Jason Leong, the famous comedian, he said, today, very easy one. You want to sell any program online, you just add the word digital. Digital in front or digital at the back, you can sell already. But what is really digital mindset? Digital mindset is really, to me, it goes back to our resourcefulness to adapt and our resilience to see through our actions to produce the results after we have willingly adapted to that new culture, to that new way of doing things with the technology. Hope I've answered your question, Tehmina, and hope that this has been a good input as well to all of you, my dear friends, watching this too.
Thanks for that, Michael. I love the fact that, regardless of the fact that we're talking about digital mindsets, we're talking about working from home, things having been virtual for 16 months and running, we always keep coming back to that core of human connections, resourcefulness, adaptation, and all these are essentially human traits, right? You can't get any robot, any design thinking that could match that, at least until now. So Aaron, I wanted to ask you, I was really interested in the fact that you did mention that Luno operates across 7 countries. Now, when it comes to operating across 7 different spheres, tell me about how human connections are actually driving diversity and inclusivity in the work that you do with Luno.
Right. So I think we have so many different nationalities. We have a huge presence in South Africa. And in South Africa, the first time I went there, I was very pleasantly surprised because it's even more diverse and multiracial than a country like Malaysia. There's so many different people, right? You have English, you have French, you have many different, you have Xhosa, you have many different, lines of descendants from many different races, right? So it is a unique challenge, I think. What has been really useful for us is something that Michael already mentioned earlier, which is the culture. and it is also the rituals, right? So people always talk about culture. Oh, I want to have an inclusive, I want to have a diverse culture, right? It's not enough to leave it at that buzzwords. If you really want to drive people to work and collaborate together, then you need to have this kind of rituals where people will start effectively collaborating together. So I'll give you a simple example. A really super basic. We run what we call is a stand-up meeting, a daily stand-up meeting, which is exactly what it's intended, which is exactly what it sounds like. So it's meant to be like a 5 to 10 minutes meeting where a group of less than 10 people, we just gather and we talk about what happened yesterday, what we're working on today. That's it, right? It's not a decision-making meeting. It's just meant to simulate the experience of you going to the office in the morning, you know, when you actually had a physical office, and then you meet at the pantry while you're making your coffee and say, hey, you know, how are you? What are you working on today, right? So we've sort of tried to make that into a ritual. And that's just one example. There are other very important, what do you call that, philosophies that you have to bake into your company to make this diversity, inclusivity thing work. An example, if you go to our website, you look at our hiring practices, you can see that we have very clearly stated, we are an equal opportunity employer and we value diversity. So we are not allowed to discriminate on any basis, whether that's race, religion, color, national origin, gender, even sexual orientation, age, marital status, whatever, right? There's absolutely no discrimination that can happen in hiring. And you want to build this into the culture of the company. You want it to be constantly reinforced and reminded in everyone's minds. And then I think you actually have a chance to make the diversity and the human connection work, because everyone is sort of more or less constantly thinking about it and being reminded about it.
Yeah, thanks so much for that, Aaron. I think you make a very interesting point that when it comes to diversity, as well as ensuring that people across different time zones are able to function, it really boils down to your company culture, your company rituals, because humans are such creatures of habit. But if you're just going to say, okay, you know, you've got these 10 minutes to go off on your coffee break, but in that sense, it's not structured, who knows what you're going to be doing on that, especially if it's a work from home kind of scenario. Interesting point there. ST, moving back to you. Now, I want to talk about a little bit and dig a little bit deeper about what Samsung has been doing, because you've all been actually very much more hands-on in the education scene in recent years. How does Samsung envision continuing to contribute in this area to promote inclusivity, ST, both in material and immaterial terms, assisting Malaysians in the education arena, particularly for rural Malaysians who suffer, of course, a lot more underserving?
We have a massive social responsibility arm, and the investment has been quite significant in the last 3 to 4 years. And we have chosen 3 pillars. One of the pillars, as what you've mentioned, is education. We believe education is the key to break the poverty cycle, particularly in rural Malaysia, and particularly in East Malaysia, right, in Sabah and Sarawak, where connectivity obviously is a massive problem. Even if when we can actually help them with materials, with devices and so on, but they simply do not have the infrastructure to get, to access any of these. And tragically, the pandemic has actually put this into very sharp perspective, because you cannot go to school and there's no physical place that you can go to, and yet they could not access through any means the materials that they are supposed to access to. So we are working with the government to help, number one, push the power lines. Without electricity, nothing works. So that's one. Building infrastructure in terms of roads and so on, so that we can actually access. And thirdly is to help build mobile schools, where we actually contribute and we set up the entire education ecosystem for them. But that obviously is very dependent on the fundamental infra, right? You need broadband, or at least some sort of connectivity Without that, none of the devices that we can put, regardless of whether it is a smart board or it's a smart TV or whatever it is, or multiple numbers of laptops and tablets, none of that would work. But it helps, right? It helps. So that's something that we are focusing on. Not so much in terms of helping them to build, but actually to lobby to ensure that we are able to bring our influence to bear with the government, with the respective agencies to put in the right infra in. That's from education. Secondly, from a D&I perspective, we, as you know, in tech, Samsung as well, we have this hyper masculine, hyper competitive vision of success in Samsung. And in most, Silicon Valley companies, right? You look at the, I just read it, I think a couple of weeks ago, the top 8 influencer in tech. They're all white, they're all male, and they're mostly American. So this hyper masculine and, you need to be competitive. It is not, I think Samsung started off trying to emulate this because that's the narrative, right, of success. We try to emulate this, but we are not. Samsung is not white. That's very obvious. Samsung doesn't sound like Apple or Tesla. We are an Asian multinational, an Asian tech company. And about maybe 15 years ago, 10 to 15 years ago, we realized this and said, okay, why do we follow this false narrative? It's not false narrative. This perhaps misplaced narrative that, all successful tech role models need to be white, need to be in America, and you need to be probably, educated in MIT or Stanford or Caltech. You need not be. I think this change in mindset and change of perception of how we define our own success also changed the way we hire. So I couldn't agree more with Aaron. Actually, we have a very slightly different definition of equal employment hiring. I don't believe in equal employment hiring. I know what Aaron means by that, right? I believe in affirmative hiring. If we want to change anything in D&I, we need to have affirmative hiring. We hire underrepresented categories. We hire diverse. We don't just hire from the old boys school, right? If I'm from this university, I hire from the same university, or so on and so forth. So affirmative hiring is something that we actually deliberately put in place to ensure that we can actually hire people from different backgrounds. And the other thing, the other area that to push for more D&I is what I believe there's 3 policies or 3 types of philosophy. One is trust-based. Second is capacity-anchored, not where you're from or whatever. And the last is the most difficult, it's called bias-free. So we have this 3 philosophy that we have in place. Trust-based, capacity-anchored, not outcome-anchored, capacity-anchored. We give people the job that they can do, and then we pay them equitably for the job that they can perform. Now, outcome-driven is we give you an outcome, but you may not be able to deliver those outcomes, yet therefore you get penalized. But that's not what you asked for, because you may not have the capacity to do that. You may not be ready to do that. So you can choose and you match the capacity that you can invest in, yet you are able to deliver. Therefore, it is capacity-anchored rather than outcome-driven. But the most difficult is the last one, bias-free. We are working on it. Samsung is an extremely biased company, and we bias towards people who are fast. We are biased, innovation that works. We are biased. Everybody's biased. But this is something that we try to break very hard. But we are still, we're in progress. The first 2, we are getting there. Bias-free, it is something still on the journey, I guess. So we are constantly looking for inspiration, looking for new talent to come in and help us break this cycle of unconscious bias.
Yeah, brilliantly said, FT. I love the fact that you actually spoke about acknowledging all these biases that exist, because that, of course, is the first step, especially for such a large multinational like Samsung. And really important also was the point that you made about staying true to your identity as corporate DNA. rather than just sort of emulating or imitating poorly or otherwise toxic examples that have become the global norm. I mean, I love it. I love the fact that we're doing tech in an Asian way. We're using our philosophies, our ethos, our work ethic, and reinterpreting it for best practices, right? From there, we are running a little short of time for the panel session, but I would like to go once around to Michael as well as Aaron. Michael, very quickly, could you tell me a little bit more about Thrive's philosophy when it comes to sort of keeping yourself uplifted, particularly in relation to the fact that I think Malaysians across the board, regardless of whether we're boomers, we're millennials, or we're zennials, are feeling increasingly demoralized, especially with the current aspect of the pandemic. What does Thrive's philosophy help you with on a day-to-day basis to, stay focused, stay uplifted, at least have a little bit of balance amidst the chaos?
Thank you so much, Tehmina. Well, just to be frank with you, I normally run training programs that go on for a day or two just on that topic, but I'm just gonna give you the best part, okay, for all of you right now who's watching this and learning together. Number one, personally for me, I focus on the now. I don't think too much about the future anymore. I know that sounds very sad to say, but I focus on the now. So I understand why people are saying, Michael, you should grow your company, you should enhance your valuation, buy up companies now because training companies are dying, right? You should buy them up. But I said, okay, when the right one comes, then I would participate. But at the moment, I would just focus on the now, work with my clients, work with them to give the best learning solution to develop their talents, work with my team to ensure that I'm ever present as a leader. I think for me personally, every day before I go to sleep, if I believe and if I know that on this very day that has just passed, I've done my best with no regrets, I have committed whatever I've promised to my team, to my stakeholders, to my clients, that makes me happy. So that's number one, focus on the now. Number two, I always look at life on a daily basis as being split to 4 quarters. You know how we play the game, right? Like quarters, like every year there are 4 quarters, or like in a basketball match, American football, there are different quarters, right? So even if you have had a lousy morning, that's your first quarter, the first 4 hours, all right? If you have had a lousy morning, that doesn't mean you're gonna have a lousy afternoon. So always tell yourself that, hey, you may have had a lousy quarter, a lousy morning, a lousy evening, but that doesn't mean the next quarter, which is the afternoon, or the next morning, would be bad. So that allows yourself to actually be in a psychology to consistently reset yourself, to tell yourself, to prime yourself that you have other opportunities to shine throughout that one 24-hour day. So that would be my second philosophy. My third philosophy, last but not least, is always surround yourself with people that gives you positivity. And that may be all of you attending this session right now. That may be those of you who want to reach out to 4 of us right here on LinkedIn, because we post a lot of great stuff. So you want to change your circle. If your circle is telling you things like, I'm so tired, I'm so stressed out, why aren't things getting better? Well, if they are your friends, it's good for you to maintain that circle, but create another circle, a circle of like-minded people who just wants to get through the day feeling more positive, encouraging each other. I have 3 WhatsApp groups like that, and I'm connected to 13,000 people on LinkedIn who are all like-minded, somewhat like this. So those will be my philosophies, Tehmina.
Nicely put, Michael. I love that, 3 little nutshells. I especially love the focus on the now and how that sort of expands into the wider philosophies of how you can actually deal with. A lot of us are dealing with a lot more than we've ever had on our plate. But yes. I think taking it one baby step at a time is possibly the best advice I've heard. And I think subconsciously, a lot of us do that, sort of, putting our day into little blocks and dealing with it each step of the way. Yes. Aaron, before we finish and go into the audience questions that have been coming in that we'll be able to deal with, I just wanted to ask you about inclusivity when it comes to Luno's perspective, even when it comes to economic barriers amongst Malaysians who may not be that digitalized. So what are your thoughts on how this can be moved forward so that, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, what have you, actually becomes a little bit more mainstream in the Malaysian finance arena?
Thanks, Tehmina. So we are very confident in our vision that cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, are going to help upgrade the world to a better financial future. Now that may take time, right? It might take 5 years, it may take 10 years, it may take 20 years, whatever, right? But we asked ourselves, what can we do as a company to help this, right? So we've made our product, and I don't mean this as a selling pitch or anything, right? But we've tried to make our product very accessible that even someone who is struggling a little bit may be able to start learning and start investing. For example, the product is basically an investment product where you can start with 1 ringgit, right? So that brings it down right until the lowest barrier. And sometimes you may ask the question, what's 1 ringgit investment going to change your life? No, it's probably not going to change your life, right? Because even if you double your investment, 1 ringgit becomes 2 ringgit. But along the theme of growing, educating yourself, learning, that 1 ringgit itself can actually be very powerful, because 1 ringgit invested in something new that you're interested in, to learn, to try, to grow, and maybe even move your career in, is actually very powerful versus having zero skin in the game, zero knowledge, zero investment in anything at all, right? So I think that's where we've positioned ourselves, is that, if you are someone new, someone young, someone maybe struggling, not so rich, it doesn't matter, right? You can actually start learning today, which is the most important thing which you can do.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that, Aaron. I love the fact that you talk about lowering the barriers to entry rather than being an absolute, but at least getting your feet into the game, right? So that is perhaps a little bit more important when it comes to lowering the access so that more and more Malaysians can actually come on board. Right, gentlemen, FT, Michael, Aaron, I could actually go on for even more than another hour, but it's good that we've got time constraints. Let's now move into a couple of the questions that have been coming in throughout the hour from all our attendees. Guys, girls, thank you so much for your questions. What we've actually got here now is the top-rated one, which I would like to ask. And it is, did your employees' productivity go down as the year passed due to work from home? Perhaps FT, if you could take this one first.
Well, there's no easy answer to this. If let's say I am comparing apple to apple, yeah, definitely yes, right? Because obviously there is a revenue that goes down, and we still pay the same salary. We did not retrench anyone. Actually, we paid bonus last year, and we paid bonus this year, and we paid increment this year. We paid increment last year as well. We continue to hire. So obviously the productivity is a simple formula, right? So if revenue comes down, profit comes down, you still maintain the same cost base, productivity goes down. But if we shouldn't be comparing apple to apple. So if I have to say, did from a cultural perspective, did productivity go down? No. I think the readiness for people to even want to do more, they're ready to do more, they want to do more, but obviously there are some limitations. But from a purely financial perspective, yes. But from a spiritual, cultural perspective, as I mentioned earlier, I think this couldn't come in a better time. Macabrely, yes, again, I think this will prepare us to be much, much stronger when we rebound, hopefully sooner rather than later. And our entire, this mindset change, I would pay anything to get this mindset change. And now, technically, I don't have to pay anything. We pay with our freedom. And, unfortunately, there are some, casualties. There are many casualties. That's unfortunate. But for those who are, still surviving and, this will pass. I think the mindset change would be a productivity maximizer and accelerate our productivity to a level that have not been seen before. So I'm looking forward to the day that we can actually, get out of this cycle.
Yeah, absolutely, FD. I think that despite everything which has happened, there's continued difficulties, the humanization in that sense of not just HR, but also managing employees, as well as ensuring that people stay on. That is what has really been the hopefully long-lasting impact of the pandemic on the work sphere. Now, moving into the next top-rated question, gentlemen, which is, do you think that we'll see a big change in SMEs in terms of digitalization, and what kind of digitalization strategy that SMEs may focus on? Michael, if I could ask you to take this perhaps, given, of course, the intensive hands-on, literally virtual experience that you've had over the past year working with SMEs.
Thank you. I'm just going to share some of the SMEs that I've had the opportunities to work with my company, Thriving Talents. So we have worked with the likes of T-Life. For those of you who know T-Life, we have worked with the likes of Munchies. We have worked with the likes of Grab, even though it's disputed now, Grab is no longer an SME, right? So what I've observed from them, you see, they come from different industries. One you have, it's in the bubble tea, in the food industry. One more you have a fintech, or I would say in a app, the technology industry. But if you were to ask me, despite these companies coming from different industries, will digitalization be changing at a different rate for all these companies? As much as I'm inclined to say yes, but at the same time, I would also say it depends on industry. Some industry would be changing much faster. They would embrace digitalization because they have no choice. But some industry may not be so rapidly adapting yet because pretty much all the major players in the ecosystem are still not so technologically or digitally inclined. Though having said that, on a broad spectrum, from my experience working with SMEs, I would say digitalization will happen, number one, in terms of marketing and reaching out to customers. Because one of the things that MCO, pandemic, COVID has done is that it has created a new habit amongst us, where people now go online more frequently. People now become more dependable online. I used to remember the time before the MCO where I used to drive to the nearest Starbucks to get my weekly Starbucks servings, but not anymore. Now I just go to Grab Food and just order it. You know, I've become much more lazy, right? So because of that, it has a new habit in me. So I think for SMEs, their core business may not change through digitalization, depends on industry, but in terms of marketing, in terms of sales, in terms of business development, I do see it being rapidly altered through digitalization, where you need to reach out to your prospects, to your customers. My dear friends, even for all of you watching this right now, you need to start reaching out to employers like us, like me, like Aaron, like FT, over on LinkedIn. You need to start creating your brand over at Instagram. I didn't say TikTok, I said Instagram, okay? Because TikTok are all just dancing videos, right? But anyways, okay, biasness over there, I'm sorry for that. But you need to start creating your brand in a sense. What is that message? What is the type of persona you want people to see you? Because your employers will be looking at those platforms when they evaluate you. I know I will. All right. You want to reach out to employers even before a career fair happens. You want to start building that relationship with them over on LinkedIn. In fact, I want to give all of you a challenge right now. I have LinkedIn. I have Instagram. Let's see how many of you would add me right after this. It's totally free. Let's see what happens. So digitalization will change for marketing. And I think SMEs will focus on digitizing more of their outreach strategies to get customers, to create that conversation, to get that attention from their customers in the digital age.
Absolutely. Thanks for that, Michael. Definitely staying top of mind is essential, not just for business survival, but these days, even for sales, since I would say out of, 16, 18 hours that we're awake, how many of those do we spend literally attached, glued to whatever form of screen? Right. So last question now for Aaron, and I wanted to ask you this and target it towards the work experience that you have overseeing across 7 countries. Now, how do you actually deal with the fact that there's so much of a blurring in between work from home, personal lines and space, and actually dealing with the burnout that comes with that? How do you, in a sense, actually enforce any separation to ensure that you not only have peace of mind, but at the same time, you're still energized enough to continue working throughout the week, through the month?
Yeah, I saw this question and I'm glad I got to answer it because I can share some very personal experience. In terms of personal productivity, I don't think it went down at all. If anything, it went up in the short term. And we've seen that across the business as well. Work from home, we actually found it worked surprisingly well. Now, what did not work well was actually employees' well-being. There's a higher incidence of people burning out, definitely, right? There's a higher incidence of people feeling disconnected from their employees. There's a higher incidence of lack of communication, things breaking down, right? All this definitely happened. So if you think about just the dollars and cents, yeah, actually work from home, you can save office costs, you can save people driving to work. It may seem like it's the dream thing, but there's a lot of second order effects that's actually come. You asked a bit about Tehmina, about how I'm dealing with it. I personally felt so many times over the past 1.5 years, all these feelings of frustration. It's not about you wanting to go out all the time, right? It's the fact that you cannot go out, the liberty has been taken away from you, right? It's like you feel constrained, trapped, right? And then of course instead of working 8 hours a day, you work 10 hours a day, and suddenly it's like 9 p.m. and then where's the time gone? So I think there are a few practical tips that people can do. Number one is try and segregate what's a work location. So in that location, you only do work, right? And then when you go into your room, your living room, you keep it for the other stuff, the leisure stuff, the sleeping stuff. So that's one practical tip. It may be a bit hard if you stay in a shared room or you stay in a shared location, but at least you can designate, okay, this is my working table, yeah? My working table, and if I close the laptop, no, I'm not coming back, I'm not checking my phone. The other thing is, of course, you set limits to your access, right? So you may have a reminder that automatically asks you to log off at 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. And if we talk about broad company initiatives, we've discovered that this is indeed a big issue across our whole company. So we actually did some very bold moves. For example, yesterday, the company actually declared it's a day off for the entire company, right? Because we felt that people were basically burning themselves out, that, the fun had gone out of work, and the company just decided, okay, we're going to declare it like a company holiday. And I think if companies are willing to look honestly at what's happening with their employees, then they can take drastic steps like this to help with the well-being.
Yeah, really well said, Aaron. I love the fact that you were able to share something so personal, and I kind of figured that might be the question for you. Gentlemen, FT, Michael, Aaron, you've been wonderful. It's been such an insightful and rich discussion. I'm really grateful that we were able to all come together in this virtual space, despite the pandemic restrictions, to almost 100 of you attendees. Thanks for all your questions. I think we've learned a lot about inclusivity in technology being much more than lip service. It has to be actual action. And of course, the best part of it is when you've got sensitized leaders on board. With that, I hand back the floor to our MC for the day, Arisha. All yours. Back to you. Thanks again, gentlemen.
Thank you, Ms. Tehmina. Our MSGA again would like to extend our utmost gratitude to our speakers, Mr. Fong Tuan, Mr. Michael, Mr. Aaron, and obviously our amazing moderator, Ms. Tehmina. Before we move on, before our speakers leave, can we have one photography session? All right, I'm gonna take a picture in 3, 2, 1, smile. All right, thank you everyone. Thank you speakers again and the moderator. All right, we're gonna move on to our workshop session on potential transformation to challenging environmental social issues. Please welcome Amarina Arifin from Young Southeast Asian Leaders Initiative, Davina Devajaran from Undi 18, and Professor Ruben Clemens from Sunway. All right, please wait to be assigned to breakout rooms, and host, let me know when the breakout rooms are ready. Right, our host should be starting to sort you guys into a breakout room, so please wait for your turn and do give a warm welcome to our speakers, okay? Hi, for our fasties, for the timekeepers and backup, are you guys in your room or not? If you guys don't have anything on the workshop, that's fine as well. So everybody's in their room, huh?
Yep, for those participants who have yet to join, please join, yeah? Especially
I have also assigned CCM to the respective rooms.
breakout rooms. Okay, awesome.
Okay, did I leave?
For the rest of us, we just simply go inside lah.
Yeah, if you guys want to, right?
Up to you. If you guys want to listen and stuff, yeah.
Okay, so technically we can choose to listen or go and take a break or something lah.
Yo, that was good. I just typed.
Oh yeah, the first session was really good though. 10 out of 10.
Yo, back end was chaotic.
Yeah, back end was chaotic as heck, man.
the time limit.
Yongze.
Huh?
You know, when you were assigning people into the into each room, it's like the punya tu is like collapsing, you know, like the thing keeps on bergerak. So
yeah, same. It keeps bergerak because I think both of us are, but it's okay lah. It looks very equal. We just have to do that.
Yeah, I just randomly. I can
randomly. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, group 4 Tongmin, please go to your please go to the breakout rooms to enjoy more sessions with this. Group 4 Tongmin. Group 4 Tongmin still here.
Yeah, I think she's probably.
Yeah, and other faces. If is it possible for you guys to be in the breakout room as well, so that it's easier. Macam lagi banyak orang, it's better.
So we just simply join lah.
Yeah.
Arisha, just sorry, I missed out a little bit, right? Did you mention about lunch break for them to come back at 1?
Are they coming back here?
Oh my god, someone did. Okay, bye guys. I'm gonna join for workshop 1. Bye.
Okay, Arisha, you mentioned because I think you're muted.
My bad. It's either this. It's either they,
We bring
the
them back
moderators.
after. Yeah.
Yeah, the slides were supposed to bring them back, but then I can't remember. Some of you guys also suggested. Tungmin, please go ahead to your breakout room. It's gonna be breakout room 1, workshop 1.
Yeah.